Welcome back to another episode of the FPL Sheeple podcast. Another couple of days, and we have another game week upon us. There were tons of points for mid price midfielders in game week 15, and the Dennis versus King debate was decisively settled, so to speak. But this game week is potential turmoil as COVID is wreaking havoc in the Premier League, and there are continuous rumors that more matches might be cancelled. So we might end up having less than 11 players play. I'm joined by my co-host DT. So DT, are you positive? I mean, about this game week at all?
I am negative otherwise, but I am positive that this game week will be a carnage with all the news that we are getting to hear or read on Twitter. I guess United's match has been called off already.
Yeah,
We don't know if Tottenham is going to play. We don't know if I'm reading rumors about the City match as well.
awesome.
Not that it affects us in any way. I mean, it does in a
Yeah,
way, but yeah. I mean, look, it doesn't. It feels like the holiday or the festive periods where we were gonna have bunch of matches is going to be completely affected by COVID, and
yeah,
I hope the players are not affected too much by it, but um looking forward to at least few matches this game week so that
yeah,
you know
for sure.
so that the transfers that we have made and the hits that we have taken, or at least I have taken, pay off. So feeling a bit positive, yes.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. I mean, yeah, for me, I don't know what to think. I think I'm in general a positive person in some ways. So, in general, in terms of optimism, because it's like for me, okay, fine, matches will get cancelled this week, which means we can have some amazing double and triple game weeks in the future, and that's what I'm really
Mm.
rubbing my hands for. So, I mean, and so it'll make sense to save your chips because I feel the second half of the season is going to be tons of double, triple game weeks like last season, and there's going to be potential for points. So I think it's okay that some of these game
And
weeks are like, I mean, some matches are cancelled. I mean, I hope the players are all
yeah,
okay and they don't get any severe symptoms. I hope they take care, but in general it's like the FPL game is more interesting due to
yeah,
these random events. I mean, you thought it was random enough with any player be getting like a double digit haul in any given game week, and now it's made even more random because of these such
yeah,
events. So
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah, sorry, go on.
not to be key, but guess who's benefiting from holding on to Son and, and not getting Ronaldo this week?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, both of us, I mean, somehow just didn't bring in Ronaldo. We were both Ronaldo last week,
Yeah.
and looks like somehow it's. I mean, I don't know. I hope the players that we have instead of him end up scoring a lot of points. Otherwise, it's just like we saved 2 points and nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah. So then let's just get into this game week's episode. So we'll start off by reviewing Game Week 16, and we take a look at the starting 11s of 20 FPL content creators. These are the content creators who we really regularly follow throughout the season, and we use their suggestions and picks every week to make changes to our own teams. We are sort of blind sheep who are just following these great leaders and making changes to our teams without putting too much thought in terms of the background research that is needed to make these changes. So just take the information that the content creators give us, think about which of the information appeals to you the most, and just make the changes accordingly. So that's the concept of our pod. And so every week it helps us to look at the template team from the 20 content creators so that we understand the pool of players that they are generally going for. And last week it was again a very strong template team except for Mbuemo, who I feel the content creators had lost patience with and had transferred out, but he still remained in 8 of the teams and ended up scoring that penalty and giving those 8 players some rewards for sticking to him. Apart from that, yeah, pretty strong template. Joshua King was in 14 teams, which means I assume he was in six other teams, and I guess the six other teams are, doing an evil laugh
Team
in the
Dennis.
background. Yeah, Team Dennis. Yeah, we just sort of made some arguments for Dennis last week, even though both of us didn't have him. Um, but anyway,
Grass prevailed over Excel spreadsheet, I think, for this
yeah,
game week.
yeah, but the spreadsheet supporters are still quietly confident that King is going to, make a comeback soon.
I read one of the tweets on last week on Twitter, and I found that there were some people who wanted both of them and did not
Mhm.
wanted to participate in in this debate. So I feel because of what's going on with COVID and matches getting cancelled, having both players is going
Yeah,
to be the best thing. Having the
yeah,
middle ground, best of both worlds. Like if King scores, good for you. If Dennis scores, good for you. If both score, then you're on top. So I think that's the
yeah.
way to go.
I suspect Ronaldo to Dennis or Ronaldo to King is going to be one popular transfer, especially after today's announcement. In fact,
Yeah.
if you look at the FPL game, Dennis has been transferred by nearly 600,000 people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we are prophets in that sense because we were sort of already, predicting that Dennis is going to be also
and
important for
and and
because it's
also our collective rant on Mbumo
yeah.
has reached him, and he has finally given that first goal of the season. And I think you had him in your team.
No, no, no. I didn't because I
Oh no,
mean
you don't have him in your
we
team,
have
right?
the
We don't have
we,
him in your
we
team.
don't have a team. We just Mboemo is our general rant point because it doesn't matter if he's in our team or not. We just would like to point out. I mean, the rant was more like, yeah, he's not in a team. Ha ha ha. He's not scoring points. Ha ha ha. And now it's like, oh, he's scoring points. Okay, let's
Yeah.
our rant worked
Yeah.
in some weird way. Anyway, so yeah, from the template team, I have 8 out of the 11 players from the template team, so I'm pretty template, and I'm just playing around with the other forwards and midfielders to see if I get some advantage. And as for you, you have only 6 players that are common, and
Yeah.
you seem to be more sort of differential, going for the differential picks. Uh, but yeah, let's see how it worked out for the both of us. Let's take a look
Hmm.
at your game week, our game week score, starting with my team. So I got 72 points, which was actually a good score on paper,
Yeah.
but the average was generally very high this game week, and so my game week rank ended up being 1.3 million, and I rose from 246k to 214k. So just a small 30k green arrow, which is decent. Um, and it was basically the masterful Gallagher uh, transfer that really helped me. He got 15 points and he really stood out. And Jamie Vardy, who didn't feature, so I mean, I think Livramento came into the team and I got 1 point because of that. Apart
Hmm.
from that, yeah, the defense, Cancelo and Trent got their clean sheets, and Ramsdale, the hero, got 11 points. So that was good. Bernardo with a single assist. So he got 6 points, and yeah, so overall, a decent game week, small green arrow. At least these mid-priced midfielders who seem to be doing well are already in my team. So
Hmm.
in that sense, I'm a bit like sort of one step ahead. But I think the forward line is something I'm still not happy with. Need to sort out the Vardy
Yeah.
and Tony dilemma. Although now Ronaldo is not available, so I think it's just Tony that I have to think about. Vardy maybe can stay till
At
it's time
least
for him
your
to go.
forwards did not get a red card.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, let's go to your team. Yeah, go on.
I got 54 points, 1 point behind the average. So it was a red arrow. I fell from 102 or 103K to 165K, um, all because of the great Jimenez, and also because Smith Rowe did not feature. So I had like only, I had Broja coming for him, and he wasn't going to do anything against Arsenal because of Arsenal were too dominant. So overall, 54 points. The transfer that I made in last week game week of taking Sanchez out for De Gea. That worked well because I got 10 points for De Gea. We had the same defense. We had pretty much the same midfield except Gallagher. Um, and my forwards, I only started with Jimenez. Um, he got that insane red card and straight away -2 points. I don't have any idea what he was thinking when he did that, but
Hmm.
-2 because of him. Otherwise, it would have been a couple of points at least. You never know what would have happened in that game if he was there, because Wolves were a bit of threatening at the end. But yeah, -4, 3 players on the bench, none of them featured. Um, yeah, as you said, the average was high this game week, so my game week RAM was almost 4.8 million. So that is insane.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think we discussed this last game week. I was ready to take one on the chin because I just didn't want to take a hit, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to get Ronaldo in. So I think yeah, it's a blip for this game week, so doesn't
Hi-
matter.
Jimenez to Dennis incoming, I predict. But we'll see. We'll see. I think that's
Yeah, I
has
don't
to
think you've
happen.
seen my transfers, but I think you
Yeah.
know about one, but I don't know about the second one. So
I know. I don't think I know either of them. So we'll see. It should be interesting. All right. So then let's go on to the creator team comparisons. So apart from just looking at the template team from the 20 content creators, we also take a look at the individual starting 11s of all the 20 content creators and try to pick out which are the players that stood out for the content creators that performed really well for the game week. So the team that got the highest points for the game week was Nick from Who Got the Assist podcast. So he got 84 points, and he only 10 of his players were playing. So that's amazing. So he got 84 points with 10 players playing, and he had Gallagher on his bench. So
wow.
it's an absolute crazy and amazing game week. James Madison is the standout pick that he had 16 points for Madison, and that propelled him. And of course, he also had Ben White in defense. So I think he's ended up having, he has saved cash by not having, I think, the second Chelsea defender. And so that really helps the structure of his team. Nick actually was the winner in game week 3, but he did not feature on the Who Got the Assist podcast episode the week after, so that's why we couldn't feature him earlier. But this week he was the winner, and he was also on their podcast episode this week, so we were able to listen to his suggestions and picks, and we'll discuss them later when we take a look at the sort of suggestions from the creator of the week. So he was the winner, and then we can take a look at the teams from all the other content creators. So in order to compare the different teams, we prepare a spreadsheet every week, which is linked in the description of our audio and video versions, that you can just look at and scroll around and take a look for yourself. This essentially compares all the 20 content creators, and we have ourselves in there as well. So 22 of us. We take a look at the game week points we had, if there were any hits, the total points, the overall rank, who we captained, and basically then we take a look at all the starting 11 players, and these players are arranged in the order of their frequency. So Salah, who was in every team, is the first player, and as we move to the right of the spreadsheet, we go to the more differential picks that were in each individual team. And at the bottom, we also have the points that each player has in a given game week, and then that gives you an idea, which of the differentials, let's say, scored big and led to the creator of the week getting this massive haul. Like, for example, we saw how Madison, who only featured in Nick's team, gave him the 16-point boost that led him to top this week's table. So that's the spreadsheet. You can look at it, scroll around. Also gives you an idea of the pool of players that all these content creators are going for. Maybe helps you make those 50-50 decisions when it comes to some of the picks from the different teams. So then we also stare at the spreadsheet for a while every game week and come up with some of the takeaways that we think we can carry forward into our own teams, or maybe keep that as a in the back of our mind when we play the game. And so we'll discuss these takeaways, starting with yours.
Sure. So as you already pointed out, my first takeaway was that the template was strong this game week, barring a few players, mostly forwards, and then Jota, who featured for only I think 30 minutes or so. Apart from that, all the players that were there in the template gave returns. So this was like one of the game weeks after you know a streak of 5 to 6 game week, after which the template actually worked out fine again. So, and as you also pointed this out, both of us were like, I am not as template as you are. So that's why I am below average. And you're fairly above average. So I think
Hmm.
it was for this game week, it was important to stay template, um, and reap the rewards. That was like one takeaway for me. Second one is Embumo. Uh,
Hmm.
our rant for the last couple of game weeks has worked against us. And Mbumo seems to be listening to the podcast and taking it
I swear.
personally. Gave an assist last game, the last game week, and then goal this one. I mean, the goal was kind of lucky, I feel, because it was in the last minute, and then Watford considered a very stupid penalty. Otherwise, it would have been just a 1-1 draw, and then he would have just gotten 2 points. So I feel like that goal was lucky, but he scored
Hmm.
the penalty. He got the 9 points. He got
Yeah.
the bonus. So he's back in form. But as he was going to face United, which would have been interesting to see if he continues in his this uh, new form that he has gathered. It would have been interesting to see if he keeps up with it, but unfortunately, we won't be able to see that match. So we'll have to wait for another week.
Mhm.
So good for all the content creators and all the people who have still held on to Boom. And as usual, I like to look at the differentials um, um, from the content creators, which help them gain rank. As you pointed out earlier, Madison 16 points. Only Nick had him. Clear differential. Uh, really really great to have him in the team. And the second person with almost equal amount of points, Gallagher, 15 points. Not many. I think only couple of content creators had him in the team, so they're also in the top half of the spreadsheet. So excellent picks, and good for them to stick to him after Crystal Palace's dip in form. And then finally, I'd like to point out De Gea. I mean, not because I had him, because he had an exceptional game week as well. Ramsdale got 11 points, so he was obviously a template pick, but De Gea was in just one team apart from mine, and he got 10 points. So he was
Mhm.
definitely a differential goalkeeper, and I was actually looking forward to him against Brentford. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So, but if this form continues, I'm I'm looking forward to shift in the goalkeeping position or pick maybe, but
Mhm.
I don't know. So those were my takeaways for this game week.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. For me, I normally take a look at the range of points that all the content creators had, and this week the range was huge. It was between
Mhm.
48 and 84 points, and that's because a lot of content creators chose to take a hit. So, I mean, if I take a look at it quickly, there are about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 content creators. I mean, I think I should leave. I mean, both of us, we didn't take a hit last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't. So 11 of the 20 content creators took a hit. One of them, in fact, took a -8, and I think that's what led to the large range of points. But it's also because, as you said, the template was so strong this week that I think taking the hits and switching to some differential picks, uh, you know, is probably was not good for this game week, and that's why there were some low scoring teams this game week,
Yeah.
and the range was large. For me, I two
Yeah.
players stood out in terms of the spreadsheet. One was Marcos Alonso, and I'm wondering if content creators are beginning to lose patience on him, because he was brought in as this maverick left wing back who's going to, provide a lot of attacking returns as well as clean sheets. But ever since he's come into the picture into our teams, he is never scored more than like 4 points or something, which was in this game week, for example. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're investing so much, like close to 6 million on in Alonso, and he's not delivering. Would it make sense to do something like Nick has done and then go to like someone like a Ben White, providing the fixtures are good, or like a
Yeah.
United defender, and then spend the cash on the midfield with the mid-priced midfielders doing well, like the City midfielders.
Mm.
So I think Alonso is sort of holding people back from that, and I foresee that in the next couple of game weeks, especially when Chelsea's fixtures will also become harder, Alonso will be sold by a lot of teams. So we'll keep an eye out for that move as well. Uh, Looks like it might
Yeah.
happen for us as well. And the second player that sticks out is Antonio. And Antonio is a template player. He's in, I think, 14 teams, 14 out of the
Mm.
20 teams. And I think he's sticking around because his fixtures are going to improve immensely starting next game week. But I
Yeah.
don't think, I mean, he's not delivering at all. He's not, he's blanked for like, what, 7, 8 game weeks now in a row. So I
Yeah.
understand the fixtures were tough, but I am not. I'm finding it hard to be convinced by anyone saying that one should get Antonio. I mean, the even the content creators are not, sort of backing him massively. There's just
Yeah.
like sort of here or there some mentions that his fixtures are improving, so one can bring him, especially now that Ronaldo is not playing this game week. I mean, he has a tough fixture this game week, but starting from next game week, I don't know. Ronaldo still has good fixtures, and I don't know. Antonio is not just as reliable as him, so yeah, I don't know what people are going to do with Antonio. Maybe they'll move him on or something.
Yeah.
So I have to keep an eye out for that. So yeah, so those were my couple of takeaways with sort of the duds of the spreadsheet, if you like. So going on to the creator of the week this week, and it's Who Got the Assist, Nick. So from the Who Got the Assist podcast, he sort of taken a hiatus this season. Doesn't feature on the podcast every week like he did before, but yet we are lucky to have him on this week's episode of the podcast. And we were able to listen to his thoughts. His current rank is 192k due to his amazing game week 16. He's played FPL for 11 seasons now, and his best rank was 17,380 in 2017-18. And he's finished top 50k twice and has finished top 100k on 5 other occasions. So, really consistent player. In fact, I think I remember him saying on one of his previous pods that he did not start taking FPL seriously until like 2014-15, which is exactly when his ranks have started improving.
Yeah.
He was like 750k ish before those 3 seasons, but after that, in the 8 seasons, he's achieved the top 50k twice and the top 100k 5 times. So he's really now a good manager and absolutely consistently performs well. So yeah, so pleasure to have him as our creator of the week, and let's take a look
Mm.
at his suggestions for this game week. So yeah, why don't you start?
Yeah. So this week, Nick answered a lot of Q and A's as a part of the podcast, and also he was looking at their market watch, as they call in their podcast, where he was looking at the players that were most transferred in and transferred out. So, starting with the first question that was asked on the podcast, it was COVID panic. There was also a question about AFCON, which I didn't feel relevant right now because there's still a couple of weeks to go for it, or 3 weeks to go for it. So didn't include it here, but there was a question on it. We didn't include it. But the next one was COVID panic. So it was a question which asked, what do we do in such scenarios where maybe your most of your players are not featuring because the teams are affected by COVID. So what do you do in that scenario? And Nick's suggestion was to have a strong bench and avoid making early transfers. Um, Essentially suggesting that you have to wait till a day or or the day of the transfer deadlines to make the changes and not make it really early, to avoid taking more hits and avoid and wait till the team news, essentially. Because you make an early transfer and then you hear that that player is not going to feature. That happened in the Spurs game, with the Spurs game a couple of game weeks ago, where people transferred in Hugo Lloris or Son or Kane, and then found out that the game was called off. So wait till the last minute in the current scenario, to know what's going on, and then make the transfers. So that was his suggestion, which I feel was relevant to add here, even though it doesn't suggest any transfers. So the next question, or the next section, is about defense. So this was before it was announced that the United game is called off, but Nick suggested that he is interested in getting Diego Dallo in, since he's like a starter over Van Bissaka right now. So, and he's, I think he provided an assist in the in couple of game weeks ago. So he is interested in getting him. So obviously both of us won't be getting him in now that we have information that the game is called off, but that is something to think about in the next couple of game weeks or the upcoming game weeks. So the next was, he felt it was a question on Chelsea defense, and then his suggestion was get rid of Alonso if you can, and James and Rudiger are okay to be in your teams. So he felt like those two are sure shot starters, and can and the current dip in form for James can be ignored because he's a great player and he will definitely deliver once Chelsea get Conte back. Because I think all the conceding of the goals started after Conte got injured. So James and Rudiger are good to be in your team, but he says if there are if you just have to make a transfer in that scenario, think of replacing Alonso with someone else. So that was Chelsea defense that he addressed. And then next was on Cancelo. Obviously, he received fifth yellow card in his last game week, so he's not going to feature this game week. So the question was whether to bench Cancelo or sell him and get someone for game week, and the answer was bench him. Because Cancelo is a great player, and there's no reason why you need to sell him just for one game week, unless your team has a lot of players that are not featuring. In that scenario, I think it is safe to take him out, but otherwise just bench him for this game week, so he'll be back. The next section, midfielders. Nick was talking about his own team. He like on your screen you see there's Nick's tentative team. He mentioned at the end of the podcast that he's probably going to get rid of Rafinha for Bowen. It all depends on the final few minutes or the final team talks, whatever he's looking forward to in the last couple of hours. And then that's the possible transfer that he might make. And also he is all over Bowen. He feels like Bowen is the right player to have in the team right now because of his form and his price. So that's a suggestion that he made. And then obviously Mason Mount was another suggestion based on his current form, and probably he's one of the top 5 players who have been transferred in their team. So that was another suggestion from midfielders point of view. Finally, forwards. Something that we discussed earlier about Antonio. Nick was asked the question, and then he said that keep Antonio if you can. If you don't have many fires to fight in your team, um, then then you can think of keep taking out Antonio and replacing him by someone else. But if your team needs more attention in other areas, I think it is safe to just bench him, not bench him, but like for this game we keep him and see what he does. Um, Next was Tony. Last game week he had COVID. This game week he's Brentford are not featuring because of COVID. So the straightforward suggestion was get rid of Tony and get King in because of Watford's fixtures. And then finally, the last two were like obvious suggestions. One was Ollie Watkins because again Villa's I think fixtures are turning. So Ollie Watkins is a perfect replacement for someone like Antonio or Ronaldo even for this game week, because obviously United are not playing. So that was one great suggestion. And then finally, question on Ronaldo, whether we need him or not. And he was all in over about Ronaldo. He said that if you want United players because in your team, Ronaldo is the only one that you can think of. Obviously, Diego Dalot was the second one, but Ronaldo is like the key player you can have in your team, given that he's on penalties and he's just back in form over the last two game weeks. So those were his suggestions, or like more of like talks over specific questions that were asked to him. So thank you, Nick, for your great suggestions.
Yeah, yeah, they really were useful, and sort of stay relevant even though there has been these cancellations. There was enough information that we can do some other moves as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we took all these suggestions on board and made changes to our own teams in FPL, and we start with your team.
Yeah. So surprise, surprise. I have made the obvious decision of taking out my forwards and replacing them with better forwards. Uh, as of now, based on current form. So Jimenez, absolutely one of the worst transfers that I've made. Did not give me any returns except for like one game weeks where he got like 8 or 9 points. Apart from that, he's just been poor. So I decided to take him out, and obviously he's not going to feature. So um, I've replaced him with Watkins as suggested by Nick. And then the second transfer was more of my own, because at that point only 9 of my players were featuring, because De Gea is not going to play and Foster is injured. So I would only have 9 players in that scenario. So I decided to take out Tony and get in Dennis, even though Dennis was not obviously suggested by Nick in his podcast, but I looked at his team and he has Dennis in his
Yeah.
team. So I decided to just copy that out of his team. So I've gone for a 3-5-2 with the Chelsea defense at the back, Trent along with Trent. And then Salah captain, Bernardo vice captain, Son is there in my team. I hope Spurs play this game week. I hope Smith Rowe features this game week. So yeah, that's my team. As you can see, my bench is completely
Positive.
like either it's positive or like shades of red now. So I hope none of my main team players have to be substituted for the bench players, because they're obviously
Yeah.
not going to feature. So
I
that's my
hope
team
so.
for this game week.
Yeah, no, it looks good. I think I mean all of us are hoping that all these fixtures go ahead and there aren't any more cancellations. But even if there are, I think
Yeah.
everyone is going to suffer equally. But yeah, very interesting transfers. I think and then let's go to my team. I think I just made sort of a mix of your transfers, where I got rid of Ivan Tony and got in Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
So for me, Nick had suggested Tony to King, but I already have King. So for me, it was just a no-brainer to get rid of Tony and bring in Watkins for his good set of fixtures. He's playing Norwich this week. And so yeah, it was a simple transfer for me. Apart from that, I did not have any other complaints with regards to postponements or cancellations, because I think I have Vardy who's playing against Tottenham, and he didn't play last game week, so I imagine he'll start at least. Not sure which Jamie Vardy will show up, so hoping that he gets at least a goal or like an attacking return. Apart from that, yeah, I'm not really worried. Even if let's say the City match gets cancelled, which I don't know, I don't think it will, but even if it does, I think I have Livramento and Brownhill on the bench who can still feature, and
I
so
think you should swap Brownhill for Livramento, because I've heard that Livramento has a gash on his leg, so he probably won't feature
yeah,
or
that's
might
true.
feature.
Yeah, that's true. And I think
Just to be
against
safe.
Watford, yeah, no, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that, because against Watford, who knows, Brownhill might end up getting a one-off return of some sort.
Or
But
three
yeah,
points. 3 points.
yeah, 3 points are more than enough. Yeah, I think against Crystal Palace, Livramento is not keeping a clean sheet even if he features. So
Yeah.
you're right. I think Brownhill has that small chance of getting more points than Livramento. So yeah, I'll do that swap after this episode and before the deadline for sure. Apart from that, yeah, pretty happy with the midfield. I have the mid-price midfielders nailed on. I feel Gallagher, Bernardo, and Jota. Uh,
Hmm.
and yeah, apart from that, I think Vardy still hangs on in my team. Um, we'll see what we can do with him in the coming game weeks. Uh, but yeah, overall, yeah, Salah is my captain and Bernardo is my vice captain. And apart from that, yeah, looks good, and I'm looking
Yep.
forward to this week. All right, so then finally coming down to our predictions for this week's games. I think at some point, maybe like after game week 19 or some point where we have some time in one of these episodes, we should sort of tally up what our predictions were and sort of come up with like a point scoring system to see whether our seemingly random guesses even work at all. It should be interesting. I think we should do that sort of a mid-season review. Let's
Yeah.
see. Should be interesting. Anyway, for this week, I don't see any disagreement except the Arsenal versus West Ham game and the Leicester versus Spurs games actually. So Arsenal versus West Ham, you are going for a 2-2 draw, and I
Yeah.
think West Ham have the upper hand in the London area right now. So I think they might just nick
I
this one.
I actually wanted to go for 2-1 Arsenal, but I feel that this is going to be a draw. West Ham are a really great team right now, and if Arsenal played the way they played against Southampton, then they will run riot because
Hmm.
they were just exceptional that day. But you don't know what kind of West Ham turns up as well, because they've beaten the top teams this season. Like they've
Yeah,
beaten City, Liverpool, United, and Spurs.
Chelsea as
So
well.
Chelsea as well. So they've beaten the top six, the top five out of the top six, and this is the sixth team they're facing. I don't know what West Ham will turn up. I don't know what Arsenal will turn up. So I've just gone for a safer 2-2 draw.
Yeah. And then for the Leicester versus Spurs, I've gone for a 2-1 victory for Spurs, and you've gone for the reverse, so 2-1 victory to Leicester.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that. I mean, I don't know,
Mhm.
with current Leicester form, they just look good. And
Yeah.
Spurs, I don't know, man. I mean, Spurs have had this long break, so they might be more refreshed than Leicester. So, I mean, anything is possible. This feature is usually very, very entertaining to watch.
Hmm.
Like this match over the past few years has been entertaining to watch. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. And yeah, apart from that, we are going for big victories for Chelsea against Everton and Liverpool against Newcastle, because I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I think that those are entirely possible, easy fixtures on paper for both these teams. So yeah, so
Mhm.
those are our predictions, and yeah, so then good luck to the both of us for this game week, and good luck to all our listeners as well. Uh, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked our episode, please don't forget to like and also share the episode to as many friends as you like. All your friends who play FPL might find something useful from our podcast, we feel. So yeah, so good luck to everyone. We hope there aren't too many postponements and it's not too chaotic. If not, we'll see we'll see what happens, and then we are back again, I think in a couple of days, with another episode as the game weeks will roll on, and we'll see how it goes again after game week 17. So yeah, so good luck to everyone, and yeah, have a nice one, and it's a goodbye from me.
Good luck.